Listen closely. Power is never granted freely. It is seized. The weak wait for permission, but the strong carve their place into the world. A strong ego is not arrogance. It is the unshakable core that refuses to be broken. The fragile man trembles when he is criticized, but the man with iron in his soul grows sharper with every challenge. When the world spits doubt in his face, he does not shrink. He feeds on it, turning opposition into fuel. Understand this. Those who dominate are not the smartest nor the kindest. They are the ones who refuse to bow. The ones whose self-belief becomes a fortress no enemy can breach. You must decide right now. Are you a leaf tossed by the storm or the storm itself? The ego is the weapon. Without it, you are prey. With it, you are untouchable. Every king, every conqueror, every master of men has stood on the foundation of a powerful ego. This is the first law of absolute power. Carve it into your mind. You are the axis around which the world must turn. Comment this phrase right now. I shape my own destiny. The foundation of ego. Understand this. The ego is not weakness nor vanity. It is the central command of your existence. Without it, you are a hollow shell waiting to be filled by others. Society, family, strangers. Everyone will try to impose their expectations, their judgments, their limits upon you. And the man without ego will accept them like chains, smiling while enslaved. But the man with a strong ego stands apart. He does not bend to the weight of public opinion. He does not crave approval. He measures himself by his own standards, and his standards are ruthless. This is the foundation. You must decide that your self-image is untouchable, immune to gossip, immune to envy, immune to the noise of weaker men. Machiavelli taught that a ruler must appear virtuous, but secretly he must remain untamed, unbound by morality when power is at stake. This is not cruelty, it is survival. The ego must be like stone, smooth enough to impress, but unbreakable beneath the surface. In the realm of dark psychology, the strong ego repels manipulation because flattery cannot sway it and insult cannot wound it. You become untouchable because your identity is not in the hands of others. It is forged solely by you. Every man who desires true power must cultivate this fortress. Confidence without foundation crumbles. Arrogance without self-control implodes. But an ego fortified with discipline and self-knowledge becomes a weapon. It lets you walk into any room, any battle, any negotiation, and remain unmoved. And when others sense it, they submit. People trust the unshakable. They follow the unbreakable. They obey the immovable. So I ask you again, are you building your fortress, or are you handing your bricks away to the opinions of others? Comment this now. My ego is my fortress. Power through detachment. To wield absolute power, you must master the art of detachment. Most men are slaves, not to chains, not to rulers, but to their own emotions. Anger, jealousy, fear, and longing control them like puppets. A strong ego, however, severs those strings. Detachment is not coldness for the sake of cruelty. It is clarity, the ability to see without distortion, to act without hesitation. Imagine a battlefield. The emotional man swings his sword wildly, blinded by rage, leaving himself open to death. The detached man, he strikes once, precise, deliberate, and ends the fight. That is the power of detachment. Less noise, more precision, absolute control. Understand, those who crave approval are already weak. Those who seek constant comfort are already conquered. The masses cling to their desires, their attachments, their fragile hopes. They beg for validation, and in doing so, they surrender power. You must rise above this. Detachment is the weapon of kings, emperors, and those who leave legacies carved into the bones of history. When you are detached, insults mean nothing. Praise does not intoxicate you. Loss does not break you. Victory does not corrupt you. You remain centered, calm, unshakable, while others swing between highs and lows like fools on a pendulum. Machiavelli understood this truth. Appearances may shift, alliances may fracture, fortune may rise and fall, but the man who controls himself controls the world. Detachment gives you that control. When you are no longer addicted to external validation, you no longer fear rejection. When you no longer fear rejection, you can move with ruthless freedom. No one can bribe you with affection. No one can enslave you with guilt. No one can control you with fear. You stand untouchable, beyond reach, beyond manipulation. The psychology of power is simple. Control yourself first, and you will control others naturally. They will sense your unshakable presence, your immunity to their tactics. They will feel it in your silence, in your gaze, in your calmness, while they drown in chaos. And when they break under pressure, you will remain standing, immovable, unstoppable. That is what detachment offers. The throne above the storm. So tell me, are you the storm, or are you the man who commands it? Comment this now. I command myself, therefore I command the world. The calculated mask of power. Power is not simply possessed, it is projected. To dominate in a world of illusions, you must wear the mask. Machiavelli knew this well. It is not enough to be strong, you must appear strong. Men are simple creatures, swayed by appearances more than truth, drawn to the illusion more than reality. If they see confidence, they will assume competence. If they see control, they will assume authority. That is why the mask is your weapon. The mask does not mean deceit for its own sake. It is strategy. It is the armor that shields your intentions, the cloak that hides your weaknesses, the performance that convinces others they have seen your soul while they stand blind at the gates. Understand this: your enemies watch, your allies test, and the masses judge. If you reveal yourself nakedly, they will dissect you piece by piece until you are vulnerable. But if you master the mask, they cannot touch you. The mask of power must be tailored. In some rooms, it is charm. In others, it is silence. Sometimes it is ruthlessness, and at times it is humility. But in every case, the mask conceals the core of who you are. You remain untouchable because no one can grasp your essence. Dark psychology teaches us that people are easily manipulated when they think they understand you. That is the fatal error of the naive man. He shows his hand too soon. He seeks to be authentic in a world where authenticity is used as a weapon against him. The strong ego understands the difference. Authenticity belongs only to yourself, never to the crowd. The mask belongs to them. Behind closed doors, you are the architect of your will. In public, you are the actor, the sovereign, the figure they must bow to. Remember this law. People obey appearances more than truth. They will follow the man who seems invincible, even if he bleeds in secret. They will worship the man who looks untouchable, even if he wages private wars. And once you master this, you no longer react to the world. You shape it. You no longer chase acceptance. You command it. The mask of power is not deception. It is domination. Now answer me in the comments with this phrase: I master the mask. I master the world. The ruthless discipline of power. Power without discipline is a sword without a hand to wield it. Useless, chaotic, dangerous to its owner. A strong ego is the foundation. Detachment is the armor. The mask is the weapon. But discipline is the command that brings all these forces into perfect order. Without it, you are scattered. With it, you become inevitable. Understand this now. Discipline is not just about routine or self-control. It is the ruthless ability to cut away weakness, distraction, and indulgence with no hesitation. The average man negotiates with his laziness. The powerful man executes against it. The masses excuse their failures, waiting for motivation. The disciplined man carves his victories out of stone, indifferent to mood, indifferent to comfort, indifferent to the whining voice within. Machiavelli warned that fortune is fickle, that chance favors those who are prepared. Discipline is preparation weaponized. It is the invisible empire you build when no one is watching. It is the late night when you study while others sleep. It is the silence you embrace while others drown in noise. Discipline makes you dangerous because it multiplies your edge day after day while the undisciplined fall behind, begging life for scraps. Dark psychology reveals a brutal truth. Most men cannot even command themselves, and so they are slaves waiting for a master. The one who disciplines himself automatically rises above the herd. He does not need to dominate by force. His consistency alone makes him untouchable. Listen carefully. The undisciplined man is a prisoner of impulse. He chases pleasure. He bends to desire. He feeds on validation. And because he cannot deny himself, he can be denied by anyone who controls his cravings. This is how the weak are ruled, through temptation, through fear, through comfort. But you must not be like them. The man of power starves his weakness to feed his strength. He knows that indulgence today is weakness tomorrow. He rejects the cheap dopamine of distraction because he sees it for what it is: chains disguised as pleasure. When you master discipline, you weaponize your time, your energy, your body, your mind. Every second becomes an investment. Every habit becomes a soldier. Every sacrifice becomes a blade forged in the dark. Think of the kings, generals, emperors, and visionaries of history. Their discipline separated them from the forgotten millions. Alexander cut sleep to train. Caesar endured cold marches with his men. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire yet subjected himself to stoic rigor. These men knew greatness is not born in luxury, it is hammered in fire. So when you feel weakness, whisper in your ear. When your body begs for comfort, when your mind pleads for escape, remember this: every moment of resistance is another brick in your empire. Discipline is not pain. Discipline is freedom. Discipline is absolute power. Now answer me in the comments with this phrase: my discipline is my throne. The art of psychological warfare. Power is not only force, it is influence, manipulation, and control over the battlefield of the mind. Understand this: the greatest wars are not fought with armies or weapons, but with perception. He who controls perception controls reality. This is the essence of psychological warfare. The weak focus only on actions, the powerful focus on the invisible strings that guide men's actions. When you learn to master those strings, you no longer need to fight. Your enemies will destroy themselves, your rivals will obey without realizing it, and your allies will follow you with loyalty they believe is their choice. That is the dark psychology of domination. Never confront directly what you can control indirectly. The foundation is simple. People are predictable. Their desires, fears, insecurities, and egos make them malleable. The undisciplined man wears his emotions on his sleeve, reveals his weakness in every reaction, and crumbles under pressure. But you will not be him. You will become the immovable mirror, reflecting back to others what they want to see, while secretly guiding them where you want them to go. This is Machiavellian power, appearing harmless while plotting ruthlessly, speaking gently while maneuvering coldly, giving the illusion of choice while tightening the leash. Every human interaction is a negotiation of power, even if most never realize it. When you walk into a room, the power game begins instantly. Who speaks first? Who interrupts? Who commands attention without words? If you lack awareness, you are already being bent to someone else's will. But once you recognize the invisible war, you can dictate it. Silence can be a weapon sharper than speech. A calm stare can unravel another man's confidence. A small pause before answering can create the illusion of superiority. The key is control. Never reveal your true position, never show your desperation, never bleed in front of wolves. Instead, bleed in silence, heal in shadows, and appear before them untouchable. Dark psychology reveals another law. People are driven more by fear of loss than desire for gain. If you can instill doubt, uncertainty, or fear, you command leverage. The Machiavellian strategist knows how to withhold just enough approval to make others chase it, how to withdraw just enough presence to make others crave it, how to give just enough recognition to bind others to loyalty. Most men are addicted to validation, and this addiction makes them controllable. You, however, must never be controlled by such hunger. Instead, you must become the source that others hunger for. Understand also the power of reputation. Men fear what they do not understand, and they obey what they perceive as greater than themselves. When you cultivate an aura of strength, resilience, and mystery, it becomes your shield. Rumors will work in your favor, enemies will hesitate, allies will exaggerate your strength for you. Machiavelli warned, it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But the true master uses psychological warfare to balance the two, appearing just kind enough to inspire loyalty, yet just ruthless enough to inspire fear. This duality keeps others guessing, and men who cannot predict you cannot defeat you. Psychological warfare is not chaos, it is orchestration. Every move must be calculated, every word intentional, every silence deliberate. This requires patience. The impatient man reveals his hand too soon, betrays his strategy through emotion, and falls victim to the very traps he thinks he is setting. But the disciplined man waits. He lets his rivals expose themselves, burn their energy, and dig their own graves. When the moment comes, he strikes with precision, once, decisively, without remorse. That is how empires are won without endless battles. Remember this truth. Absolute power is not about strength alone. It is about control. Control of yourself, control of others, control of the perception that defines both. The battlefield is the human mind, and every man you meet is either a pawn, a rival, or a resource. Treat them as such. Never sentimentalize them, never underestimate them, but never let them see the full map of your strategy. Keep your enemies close, yes, but not out of trust. Keep them close so you can study their weaknesses, exploit their fears, and strike at the moment when they least expect. This is the art of psychological warfare, the patient shaping of reality itself. When you master it, you will no longer be at the mercy of the world. You will be the architect of outcomes, the manipulator of narratives, the silent general of every room you enter. Men will feel your presence before you speak. They will yield ground without knowing why. They will obey without understanding that they have already surrendered. That is when you know you have crossed from mere strength into absolute power. Now, write this in the comments and seal it into your mind. I am the architect of minds. I bend reality to my will. The power of controlled ruthlessness. Listen, ruthlessness without control is madness. Controlled ruthlessness is power refined into a precise instrument. You will learn to be merciless where mercy is a liability, and merciful where ruthlessness would be wasteful. That is the difference between the amateur who burns bridges out of temper and the master who removes obstacles like a surgeon removing tumors. Clean, invisible, efficient. Power demands cruelty only as a tool, never as spectacle. Use it when necessary, mask it when useful, and never let sentiment dictate strategy. The strong ego does not revel in suffering. It calculates its cost and pays it coldly. Remember this: brutality without aim is noise. Cruelty with purpose is architecture. In every struggle, there is a point of decisive pressure. Find it, apply it, and withdraw. Do not linger. Do not let your hands be marked by petty vendettas that exhaust your resources and reveal your weakness. A king who loses his temper loses his crown. A man who masters controlled ruthlessness wins without losing himself. Rhythm. This channel is for men who will not apologize for what they must do to ascend. You will cultivate an inner ledger where every action is weighed by outcome, not by feeling. You will let empathy exist where it benefits your long game and kill it where it endangers your future. That is not inhumanity. It is clarity. People confuse compassion with weakness because they lack the courage to sacrifice for long-term vision. You will not be confused. You will be precise. You will understand that sometimes the kindest act is the decisive cut that spares years of harm. Controlled ruthlessness begins with boundaries. You will set them like walls. No compromises, no negotiations that erode your position. Say no to requests that drain you. Say no to loyalties that chain you. Say no to obligations that serve other people's narratives and not your assent. Every refusal is a conservation of power, a deposit in the bank of influence you will spend when advantage demands it. Next, you will practice the economy of retaliation. Respond only when the gain outweighs the cost. Escalate only when victory is guaranteed, or when the lesson to be taught will secure obedience for years. The foolish retaliate immediately. The wise posture, measure, and then move when the trajectory favors them. Your silence will terrify those who expect noise. Your single, decisive action will haunt those who thought you impotent. Controlled ruthlessness is also a discipline of appearances. You will make people believe you are kinder than you are and harsher than you are, both at once. Let rumor inflate your power and let mystery conceal your methods. The optics of your ruthlessness must be surgical, public leniency that wins loyalty, private severity that eliminates threats. Never advertise your worst measures until you must. Let fear be an undercurrent, not an overt storm. The Machiavellian ruler keeps his citizens obedient with laws and fear in equal measure. You will do the same with your circle. Use praise to bind, withdraw attention to punish, and the occasional reward to bind the most stubborn to your will. Controlled ruthlessness requires a mind that sees humans as variables, predictable when patterns are observed, manipulable when pressures are applied. Study others with cold curiosity. Learn what they fear, what they crave, and how they rationalize defeat. Then engineer situations where their choices align with your objectives. Do not mistake manipulation for weakness. It is the art of converting opposition into compliance without wasting capital in open conflict. And remember, the most effective ruthless act is the one executed so cleanly that history forgets it as violence and remembers it as inevitability. Practice stoic endurance so the strikes you inflict do not rebound on your conscience. Harden your will through ritual and routine so that when the moment for ruthlessness arrives, you do not hesitate. Hesitation breeds regret. Regret breeds vulnerability. Controlled ruthlessness is moral clarity in a world of muddled loyalties. You know what you will tolerate and what you will annihilate. Announce your limits subtly, enforce them visibly, and let the world self-sort around you. Finally, pledge this phrase in the comments now, twice if you must, so it etches into your action. My ruthlessness is precise. My purpose is absolute. Comment it once more to lock it in. The fortress of emotional control. If you cannot command your emotions, you will never command power. Every empire that has collapsed began not with the fall of its walls, but with the weakness of its ruler's mind. Kings were undone not by armies, but by envy, lust, wrath, and fear. Their enemies did not defeat them, they defeated themselves. Understand this truth. The man who is mastered by emotion will always be mastered by others. Anger makes you predictable. Rage burns hot but dies quickly, leaving you exposed and exhausted. Your enemies need only provoke you to guide your hand. The man who cannot master anger is not a warrior. He is a puppet. Desire makes you blind. The lust for approval, wealth, or flesh makes men sell their honor cheaply, exposing their necks for scraps of pleasure. Fear paralyzes. It makes the mighty shrink, the proud retreat, the strong surrender before the battle begins. Most men are chained to these emotions without even knowing it. They live as prisoners of invisible masters, every action dictated by impulses they cannot resist, but not you. You are here because you will not remain average. You are here to build a fortress no storm can breach, a fortress of emotional control. This does not mean suppression. Weak men suppress until they erupt. Explosions of rage, breakdowns of despair, fits of weakness that make them slaves again. True control is mastery, not denial. It is alchemy. You do not kill your emotions, you refine them. Anger becomes focus. Fear becomes awareness. Desire becomes ambition. Instead of being ruled, you become ruler of the energies that rule other men. Picture yourself in chaos. A room full of screaming voices, threats, lies, temptations, and storms of conflict. Most men panic, scramble, lash out or freeze. But you are still. Your heartbeat steady, your breath controlled, your eyes sharp. You measure everything, you reveal nothing. And then, at the precise moment, you move with cold precision. The world sees this calm and confuses it with superhuman strength. And in truth, it is strength. That is the fortress you must build, the citadel of unshakable command over yourself. Machiavelli himself warned that fortune is like a raging river. It destroys the unprepared, but can be mastered by those who build levees and dams. Your emotions are the river. You must channel them, direct them, and use them as fuel. The weak drown in them. The strong harness them. The rulers of history, Caesar, Napoleon, Aurelius, each endured betrayals, wars, and storms that would have broken lesser men. What made them endure? Emotional control. They could feel deeply, yet act coldly. They could love, yet not be blinded. They could fear, yet not retreat. They turned their humanity into a tool instead of a weakness. Dark psychology confirms this law. Men are most easily controlled through their emotions. Manipulators provoke outrage, stir envy, ignite fear, or flatter vanity. Entire nations have been enslaved by these tactics. But when you master your emotions, you break the chains. No insult can wound you. No praise can intoxicate you. No fear can freeze you. You become immune to manipulation. And immunity is the ultimate freedom. But mastery requires discipline. Begin with awareness. When you feel anger rise, do not strike. Observe. When you feel fear creep in, do not run. Breathe. When desire pulls at you, do not grab. Wait. Each pause strengthens the fortress. Each restraint forges the walls higher. And in time, those walls become unbreakable. People will try to test you. They will insult you, tempt you, bait you, smile. Let them believe they've failed to affect you. Because once they realize they cannot move you, they will fear you. And fear is respect's older brother. Consider this. Every negotiation, every conflict, every moment of tension is a silent war of emotions. He who loses control first loses power. Raise your voice and you've admitted weakness. Show desperation and you've surrendered leverage. Reveal jealousy and you've handed your enemy the weapon. But remain calm, remain cold, remain centered, and you drain them of strength while preserving all of yours. This is why emotional control is not just strength, it is dominance. The Stoics called it apatheia, freedom from destructive passions. Machiavelli called it virtù, the skill of commanding fortune through strength of character. Today, we call it psychological mastery. It is all the same law. The world belongs to the man who belongs to himself. So, let this be etched into your mind. Emotional control is not a suggestion. It is survival. It is the difference between kings and slaves, between conquerors and conquered, between those who shape destiny and those who are crushed by it. Build this fortress now, brick by brick. Silence, awareness, mastery, command. Inside it, you are untouchable. Inside it, you are unstoppable. Inside it, you are absolute power. Now seal this lesson in your blood by writing it in the comments. My mind is my fortress. My emotions obey me. Write it twice, because once is memory. Twice is conviction. The legacy of unbreakable authority. Authority is not given. It is imposed, cultivated, and enforced. It is not a badge or a title. It is the aura that bends others without effort, the unseen gravity that makes men bow before they realize they have lowered their heads. When you master yourself, when your ego is fortified, when your ruthlessness is precise and your emotional control unbreakable, you become more than a man. You become an institution. Authority is the transformation of presence into power. It is the point where people obey, not because you shout louder, but because silence from you weighs heavier than words from them. Understand this truth. Authority outlives force. Fear alone dies quickly. It breeds hatred that waits in the dark. Charm alone fades. It creates loyalty that dissolves when fortunes shift. But authority, true authority, lasts. It is built on consistency, discipline, vision, and the unrelenting refusal to compromise your position. Men trust authority because it feels immovable. They look to it because it is constant. They yield to it because resisting feels like resisting gravity itself. This is how empires endure while armies crumble. Machiavelli taught that rulers must maintain both love and fear, but above all, they must avoid being despised. Authority balances this equation. The Machiavellian mind knows that authority is both visible and invisible. It is the laws you enforce and the myths people tell about you. It is the combination of reality and perception that makes you seem larger than life. To create legacy, your authority must be both feared and respected. You must not only command obedience, you must embed the belief that you deserve it. Dark psychology offers the mechanism: repetition, consistency, and framing. People believe what they see repeatedly. If you consistently appear decisive, they will call you decisive. If you consistently act disciplined, they will believe you are disciplined beyond human limits. If you consistently hold the line, they will internalize that your will is immovable. Humans are simple in this way. They worship what they cannot shake. Legacy is not only carved in stone, it is carved in the minds of those who witness you. But authority requires sacrifice. You cannot seek to be one of them and still lead them. Familiarity may earn comfort, but it erodes reverence. Authority demands distance. A king who laughs too easily with his subjects will be remembered as a friend, not a ruler. A general who seeks affection from his soldiers will lose their discipline. Authority requires you to be respected first, liked second, or not at all. You must cultivate the aura of inevitability, that your presence is order, your absence is chaos, and your word is law. Controlled ruthlessness sustains this authority. People must know you can reward loyalty, but punish betrayal swiftly. Not in rage, not in chaos, but in precise execution. Reward makes followers loyal. Punishment makes them obedient. Authority blends the two so seamlessly that loyalty becomes obedience and obedience becomes devotion. This is why leaders of history outlived their flesh through legacy. Their authority reshaped nations, outlasted dynasties, and still echoes centuries later. Ask yourself, what will be your legacy? Will you be remembered as another nameless face, drowned in the ocean of mediocrity? Or will your name live beyond your breath, carved into the fabric of destiny because your authority demanded it? Legacy is not built in comfort. Legacy is built in fire. Every refusal to compromise, every sacrifice made for vision, every act of cold precision writes itself into your myth. And myths outlive men. The legacy of unbreakable authority also requires restraint. Never squander authority on trivialities. Do not fight for every battle. Choose the ones that matter and dominate them completely. Every unnecessary confrontation dilutes your image. Every pointless display weakens your aura. Authority grows when you act with scarcity. When your words are rare, they weigh more. When your actions are calculated, they resonate deeper. Men will begin to measure their steps against what they think you would approve, even when you are not there. That is true authority. When your shadow governs without your presence. Authority also requires succession. To ensure legacy, you must design systems, structures, and symbols that carry your presence even in your absence. The Roman emperors built monuments not to stone, but to memory. Leaders today build empires not on their names alone, but on the codes they leave behind. You must ensure that your influence cannot be erased, even if your enemies erase you. This is where legacy transcends mortality. And finally, know this. Authority is not about dominating others. It is about creating inevitability. When people see you as inevitable, when your presence is synonymous with stability, when your will becomes indistinguishable from reality, they cannot resist. They will not resist. They will follow, obey, and even protect your authority because it anchors their own existence. That is unbreakable authority. That is legacy. So write this in the comments and brand it into your psyche. My authority is unbreakable. My legacy is inevitable. Write it once for memory, twice for conviction, and 3 times for destiny. The path to absolute power. This is the culmination of everything you've heard. Ego, detachment, the mask, discipline, ruthlessness, emotional control, authority. Each piece is not separate. They are weapons of a single arsenal, pillars of one fortress, laws of one empire. The man who unites them becomes untouchable. He rises above the herd not because fate chose him, but because he forged himself into inevitability. That is the path to absolute power. Understand this. Power is not a destination. It is not a crown placed on your head or a throne handed to you. It is a state of being, a constant shaping of yourself until the world itself bends. Most men spend their lives searching for external permission. They beg for approval, for validation, for acceptance. The path to absolute power rejects all of this. It says, I am the law, I am the axis, I am the storm. When you live by this creed, you stop chasing and begin commanding. But do not be deceived. The path is brutal. You will be tested by betrayal. You will be confronted by fear. You will be tempted by comfort. Every weakness inside you will be weaponized against you. That is why you must become ruthless with yourself before you can ever be ruthless with the world. No excuses, no negotiations, no indulgence of fragility. If your mind wavers, you fall. If your ego cracks, you submit. If your discipline falters, you are conquered. The path allows no half measures. The reward, however, is absolute. Imagine walking into every room, every deal, every battlefield with the calm certainty that nothing can shake you. Imagine commanding loyalty, fear, and respect without raising your voice. Imagine living in a world where you do not react, you dictate. That is absolute power, and only those who commit fully will taste it. Now I ask you, are you willing to burn the weakness out of yourself? Are you willing to wear the mask, wield the blade of discipline, and build the fortress of emotional control brick by brick? If yes, then the path is already yours. Destiny is not waiting for permission. It is waiting for you to seize it. Seal this truth in the comments right now. I walk the path to absolute power. Write it once, then write it again. Make it a command to yourself. And finally, if this message struck you, if you felt the weight of these words, like this video, subscribe to Stoicism, and turn on notifications. This is only the beginning. The path is long, but here, you will never walk it alone.